Hello Libra, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements, looking at your connection between you and the person that you are dealing with and are needing to learn the most from right now. We'll be pulling for all three sides of the connection, so we'll look at your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it, the concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we're looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section is looking at what is the deeper purpose of this connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Friendly reminder that these are general readings and they are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and to leave what does not. On that note, and especially if you're a cross-watcher, just know that this whole reading can be reversed. If that is the case for you, that is totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point is to take what helps and leave what doesn't. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. All right, Libra, let's jump on in. As always, we're going to start with looking at the overall energy for the connection through Oracle cards first, and then we'll dive deeper into the story with Tarot as we progress. So let's start, Libra, with looking at your energy toward the person you are dealing with and are needing to learn the most from right now. This is Libra's energy toward the person they are dealing with. Deja vu. Breakups and makeups and passion. So it's obvious that you and this person are stuck in a cycle here. And I feel like it's a cycle of breakups and makeup, separation, and then coming back together. I feel like usually passion drives you guys back together, whether it's a physical connection or just this, like, I feel like really intense pull that you have toward this person. And I feel like it's very, it's like an explosion almost. It's very intense. I feel like it's very hard to ignore, which I feel like is why you're stuck in the cycle in the first place. I feel like, there's some distance, and then that distance, it's almost like a fight or an argument or something comes up, and then that distance happens, but then it's almost like hard to walk away altogether because of how intense the connection is, especially when maybe it comes to the passionate side of things. But let's look at this person's energy toward you. This person's energy toward Libra. My goodness. Ooh. Divine timing. Connection. What is happening here? These cards are being really weird. Wild card. All right. So I feel like this person recognizes there's a deep connection between the two of you two. I feel like that's not something that's one-sided, which I feel is what makes this cycle even harder to break. Is like, they have feelings for you. They know that you have feelings for them. And there's just this draw that you guys, a very intense draw that you have toward each other. However, I feel like this person's energy is very unpredictable and very inconsistent. I feel like they're, with this wild card energy, it's like you never really know who you're going to get, or if they're going to show up, or if they're going to stick around. And I feel like that leaves you very on edge in this connection a lot of times. With this divine timing card, I feel like this is this energy of waiting on this person to align with what it is that you desire and what it is that you deserve. And I feel like, you know, they're in this unpredictable, inconsistent energy, but I feel like so much of this connection has been waiting on things to get better or things to get more consistent, but yet continuing to experience the cycle of inconsistency. And I think that there's a lot of feelings here for sure that complicate things, I feel like, even more on both sides here. But I don't know where this wild card energy is coming from. I don't know if it's like a non-committal energy or if it's just like this person is just kind of all over the place or what. Truth of the connection between Libra and this person. Separation, okay. Sparks. Interesting. Okay. So you guys are in separation, and then there's the deja vu. You guys are in separation right now, at least for the collective that I'm speaking to. I feel like there's a separation in this connection. However, the feelings are still there. And I think that that is what's making it really hard. And I already said this, to really close out this cycle, especially if you know, like, this person has feelings for you. And like I kind of said, I feel like there is that, it's like that's a very known thing. I feel like there's obviously an intense connection here that that goes beyond just like surface level, which is why I feel like there's such a in and out kind of energy here. But I feel like there is a cycle here that is needing to be broken. And I feel like it's going to come down to how you handle this moving forward, because I feel like it's really important to not repeat this cycle, because it's like you keep looking for love and consistency and what it is that you deserve in the cycle, but the cycle is blocking you from that love and consistency that you deserve. So I don't know. Let's just keep going here. Overall theme of this: connection between Libra and this person. Hair all on my face. Never know if it's my own or if it's dog hair. I feel like my husband and I just absolutely live in dog hair. Overall theme of this reading for Libra, please. Oh my goodness. There's more to that story for sure. So you have this: you don't think of me with it is worth it and there will be a return. I feel like, okay, there's a lot going on here, because I feel like when this person kind of is in this wild card energy, when they're being unpredictable and inconsistent, I feel like it feels to you like they just don't care. Like they don't think of you, like they don't take you into account. And to be honest, I do kind of feel a selfish energy from this person. So I do feel like to a certain extent, they're not fully taking your feelings into consideration when they do certain things. But I don't feel like that has anything to do with you. Now, on the flip side, I do kind of feel like you're holding on to this energy of hoping that like this is going to be worth it someday. That holding on to this connection and continuing to try and make it work. It's like look at this card, right? It's like being broken and stitched back together and falling apart and rebuilding. It's like eventually, you know, there's this belief like eventually this will be worth it. It's like it hurts so bad, but you're like, it's worth it, I swear. But it just feels like it just keeps getting harder. This there will be a return card makes me feel as if this cycle isn't fully closed yet, because we don't close a cycle when there's a separation or when we walk away from something. We close the cycle when we have an opportunity to repeat that cycle and we choose not to. And that's when it's really hard, is because all of the lessons of the cycle we have to then implement, right? And I think that in this specific connection, there's some sort of a cycle that really, really needs to close here. But I feel like it's hard because you're still holding out hope that things are going to end up different. So I can see how this is complicated for sure. Kind of feeling a little bit at a loss, not really knowing what to do here. This is for Libra side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Chariot in reverse. Knight of Cups. So yeah, the feelings here are still really strong. Eight of Pentacles. I feel like you're pretty over this cycle, but it's almost like I get this feeling that this person is a little bit of like a weak point for you. Not that you are weak, that's not what I mean, but it's like if this were anyone else, I feel like it would be easier for you to, break this cycle or like walk away for good or like let things come to a close. But I feel like specifically because it's this person and there's such an intense connection, it makes it so hard. Every single time that things come to an end in this connection, I feel like the hard part is that maybe it feels like you're making progress and then things just kind of stop out of the blue. It's like you hit this just like ceiling of commitment or of the relationship almost, which almost brings you, it's like you always find yourself back at square one with this person. And with this Eight of Pentacles, like you've put in a lot of effort here. I feel like you've really exhausted all of what you have to give. Like I do definitely feel like you are, willing to do what it takes to make this work, willing to commit. But it feels like what's hard about that is you're not getting that reciprocation from this person with that wild card energy, right? They're really all over the place. Things are not able to come together because that's a one-sided relationship, right? Healthy relationships can only be sustained if both people are committed to doing their part. And no relationship is 50-50, but it should, at the end of the day, average out to about 50-50. Like, sure, sometimes you'll have to put in more effort and other times other people put in more effort, when you don't have as much to give and vice versa. But at the end of the day, you should feel like you are receiving the same level of commitment and compassion and understanding and love that you are giving. And I feel like in this connection, it's felt very one-sided. Not the feelings, but the commitment and the effort. Now with this Page of Cups here, I feel like you really wear your heart on your sleeve for this person. It's kind of a beautiful energy because I feel like you maybe have had a lot of walls up, maybe from past relationships, but with this person, it kind of feels like, again, it's like they're your kryptonite in some way. And I think that the reason I feel like it's such beautiful energy is because you have such a beautiful heart and so much love to give here. But for some reason, this specific connection, it makes you feel less confident and less powerful. It kind of takes some of that away because it just feels like you just can't seem to get through to them or can't seem to break through that barrier that this connection seems to reach. This Knight of Pentacles to me is this energy of kind of slowly trying to figure out how to break out of this cycle, but consistently feeling very pulled back. I feel like you might make progress one day, but then the next day it's like you feel very pulled back to this connection. Because I feel like I'm speaking to a collective that's like, yes, I'd like things to work, but if not, then I'd like to just like be done. Like I'd like to move away from it. Like I feel like there's just this energy of being tired of being in kind of this limbo with this connection, which is really understandable because I feel like it's putting you through a lot, just kind of like sitting in the energy of it, I guess is a good way of putting that. And obviously, like, you've been hoping that it's going to work. But, you deserve so much more than this. But I do feel like you know that. But I feel like it's hard because the feelings are there. And the feelings are very intense and they're very real and they're very valid. But sometimes our feelings aren't always the best indicator of like what's best for us, right? It's kind of the difference between like listening to your soul versus listening to, your ego and what your ego might desire, which can always be hard because your ego is going to desire whatever it sees is possible right here and now. So if you're wanting a relationship that of your dreams or whatever the case might be, and you feel it's possible with this person, then there's a part of you that's going to say it has to be them. And if it's not them, then it's not going to ever be as good as this, because this is as good as I've ever experienced. But your soul might be whispering to you that this cycle is actually keeping you from that love that you deserve. But I'm not quite sure exactly like what the extent of the cycle is, but let's get more here. Let's dive into this deeper. This person's energy toward you, Libra, wild card with connection. Could be dealing with fire sign energy. But I also feel like this is just putting more emphasis on the just passionate feelings that exist in this connection. Justice in reverse. See, I don't love that. What is this? 5 of Swords. Ooh, okay. The Death. The Knight of Cups is here too. So there's no question that this person has feelings for you. And they want this connection in their life. But they want it in their life in their way and on their terms. And that's that selfish energy I was kind of talking about, right? It's like, maybe it's a convenience thing. Maybe it's a, they don't want to fully commit thing. Whatever it is, it's not fair, to say the least, with this Justice in Reverse card. In this separation energy here, they're sitting in this 5 of Swords energy, which means that there's a little bit of a victim mentality going on here. I feel like they don't understand why it can't just work as is. But I feel like you're tired of the cycle of not receiving that commitment and consistency that you deserve. And it's so important here, Libra. I feel like someone really needs to know this, that you are not asking for too much when you're being asked to, or when you're asking to be loved well, to be reciprocated, to be consistently shown up for. You're not asking for too much. But it kind of feels like this person is used to not having to really work for love. And what I mean by that is they're used to giving the bare minimum, but receiving all of this stuff in return. All that you have to give in return. And that isn't how healthy relationships work, because that's going to require somebody, in order for somebody to overgive and under-receive, that's going to require somebody to not love themselves enough or respect themselves enough to desire or demand that reciprocity. And I feel like that's not you, Libra. I feel like you're somebody who very much is like, no, I know what I deserve and I know what I want, and this is what it is. And this person is like, well, I don't want to work that hard almost, which is going to start to make you feel like, okay, so you don't love me or care about me or value me then enough. That isn't the point here. You know, when somebody doesn't know how to love well, it's often because they've never been loved well. They don't understand how to give and receive love in a healthy way. And I feel like that's where this person is kind of sitting in this connection. And I think that, you know, this connection is very outside of their comfort zone. It's something that challenges them, that pushes them to grow, which, you know, all connections do. All connections are here to challenge us and to push us to grow and to push us to be better. Unless we're complacent, unless we're settling for less than what we deserve because we don't want to grow, we don't want to, you know, change. And I do feel a lot of stubbornness in this person's energy. And I think that that's what's so hard for you is like, I feel like you're sitting here looking at this, like if this person would just change and not change in big ways, like it doesn't feel like you're asking them to like change their whole personality or anything like that. It feels like you're asking them to be consistent, to show up, to heal, to be willing to grow, like things that are required for any healthy relationship to work. And it feels like this person is just going, like, I don't want to do that, which is has really quite literally nothing to do with you and more to do with them and their unwillingness to grow, to be better, not just for you, but for themselves too. And I think that that's where, you know, there's a need to understand that, like, yes, this person cares about you. And yes, they want this relationship to work. They have strong feelings here. I feel like that's no secret. But they want things on their terms and they're not willing to compromise. They're not willing to compromise what it is that, you know, they're willing to give you. And that is where you have to understand that you should also not be willing to compromise on what it is that you deserve. Because your needs and being treated and valued appropriately is not up for discussion. It's not up for argument. It's you know, knowing what you deserve in a relationship is incredibly important because then that will push you into the energy of making sure you don't accept less just for the sake of the connection. And I feel like maybe in this connection, you've had a tendency of doing that in the past because, again, this connection's a little bit your kryptonite. But I feel like that's the cycle that needs to end because it's like you accept this person back and then the whole thing just repeats because they refuse to change. And when we can't change somebody else or a situation, there's always a way that we're being asked to change in some way. And I think that this connection is pushing you to almost like not be willing to settle or to compromise on your worth or what it is that you deserve, even though you deeply, deeply care about this person. And I will say, I think that that's one of the hardest lessons that we have to learn in this lifetime is no matter how much we love somebody, no matter how much we care about someone, we have to make sure that we learn to love ourselves just as much, to not place people on a pedestal and say your needs and your desires and your happiness is more important than mine, because that will never be sustainable. Eventually your soul is not going to be able to stay in those places because it doesn't know how to stay in places that doesn't align with what it deserves forever. And I think that that's why the fallout in this connection always eventually happens. So it's really interesting because it feels like it's a very stubborn energy. It's very much like I want it my way. Like have my cake and eat it too. I want to get, give you bare minimum, but get everything in return. And that's not healthy or fair in any way, shape, or form. So I feel like there's a need to be, first of all, very, very confident and knowing that you deserve what it is that you're asking for from this person, right? When we're being asked to be loved well, to be chosen, to be valued, to have like consistency, in connections, if that's what we want, you're never asking for too much. You never, ever, ever. You're only asking for too much if you're, asking for things that you're not willing to provide. If you're like, I want you to leave your whole life behind and change your entire personality for me, right? Like that's not fair. That's not fair to ask of someone. But wanting a partner, wanting someone to grow with, wanting someone to heal next to, All of those things are absolutely understandable, and you do absolutely deserve that. So I do feel like this person is probably going to find their way back at your doorstep in some way, shape, or form. And I feel like it's important for you to stand tall in what it is that you know that you deserve, and not let them kind of play these games of like, give a little just to receive what they want, but then not give anymore, because that's not fair. So I feel like there's a lot here, and I don't think that this person is doing it intentionally to hurt you or anything like that. I feel like this is just, there's a sense of entitlement here, and that entitlement usually is usually some sort of protection mechanism, for sure. I'm not saying they're a bad person. I feel like they're probably used to receiving that external validation, and that's something that I feel like you were willing to provide. But I also feel at the same time that it's like, but you also need that, that reciprocity, and that's, you do deserve that. So in between this connection, you have deja vu with separation. I'm going to hop on over to the extended, looking at the deeper purpose of this connection, the best way for you to move forward in alignment with your higher self. Thank you so much, Libra, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. Bye, Libra.